What's up, everyone? I am Chris from Motionless in White, and you are watching Metalshop TV. In my opinion, the new record is the best record and my favorite of the Motionless records because it felt like the entire package of everything that is sonics, the music, the atmosphere of the album, and the aesthetic that we went with for the band, the artwork, everything all came together to be this like massive, way larger than anything we've ever done package that I think is super important to us. It's something that we've always done throughout our career, but on this record it really hit. And I think with the time that we had over the pandemic to make the record, really it just gave us the time to do an album in a way that we just haven't had with other albums. The trial and error periods, the experimentation with new sounds and all kinds of stuff, I don't know if that would have been there without the pandemic, so getting to have really sat with an album for as long as we did made it just, I think, I don't know, it came out better than anything else because it just had more time, so yeah. Yeah, working with Mick Gordon was a dream come true. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that like Mick's work and the Doom soundtrack score stuff that he's done has, had a pretty big impact on the last record's kind of overall sound. I think working with him obviously is a big reason for that, but I would love to try working with him again. I would love to just sit there and just actually write a whole song from scratch rather than kind of the way that we did the last one where it was a little bit later. I have nothing but respect for him and everything he does. I know he works with Bring Me and other bands, and it feels like whatever he touches is just way cooler than any of us could have ever done ourselves. So thank you, Mick, for transforming modern metal and rock music as we know it. I think this is probably the first interview that I've gotten to address it. We're kind of in the situation right now where what I mentioned about the last record having the time from the pandemic, that was amazing, and I feel like it's so obvious that that's the biggest factor why the last record was what it was. So to me, I'm just like, well, thankfully we're in a period of our career right now where I hope that we can afford that kind of time away, where fans are like, they understand that that's why we're gone, because we're putting the time towards the album to make the best album we can make. Doing an album in 3 months just is not realistic anymore, at least not for us. And that's like what we were used to back in the day, but that's not our reality anymore. We're taking our time with it. We're doing tours in between. And honestly, when it's done, it's done. I have no date that I'm announcing. It will be next year, that's for sure. But I'm not even thinking about a date. I'm just writing the coolest songs that we could write, and we're really excited about what we have, and I'm just hoping that we don't, it's scary because you're always worried that you're gonna lose momentum and fans are gonna kind of move on if you take too long, but honestly I'd rather write the coolest record that we could write and lose fans because we took too long than put out a half-assed record and have that be part of like our discography. It just doesn't make sense to me. So wait, goddammit. Yeah, Werewolf is definitely, I don't know about now present day, but before the record came out and during the record release, I thought Werewolf was the coolest song just because we all think it was our favorite, because it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like we took a lot of different styles of music, things from Thriller and Michael Jackson to the synthwave stuff that we really love, and I feel like, in my opinion, found a way to make it all work in a way that felt really, iconic to Motionless. just something that we hadn't touched before, but really put the time in to make it feel cool and fresh and exciting. And I think, of course, we are always, we're always into the spooky stuff and Halloween. And when I heard the music, usually how I work is I write out all the music first, then I say, what does this music make me feel like? And of course, the obvious direction with the music was to write a motionless version of Thriller. What would we do if we wrote Thriller? And every time I heard the music, I was like, I just can't stop thinking of the word werewolf. It just makes sense. So writing the song lyrically from what feels like at face value is about a werewolf, but it's about so much more in depth about different moments of my life where it feels like I'm split between two sides of myself and who I have to be in front of the camera and who I am within, or just there's a lot more depth to it than I think that the song suggests at face value. And it was just for that reason everything clicked and came out really great. I still listen to it. I think it's so fun. Playing it live is super fun. It's just a great song. I think the biggest reason why we've had more growth in the States versus here is just because of the time spent there versus here. Like for the first couple years of our career, we didn't have the money to make it over to Europe. And then when we did, we were opening tours, making, nothing per show to be able to afford to be here. But thankfully, as we've grown in America, we've been able to have a budget to come over to Europe and do more frequent tours here. And you'll notice that the more time we invest in coming over here, the bigger the growth is here. So it's really just about how much we've been there versus here. But I think in the last 2 or 3 years, really, especially after the pandemic, we were just like, no, we're going for it. We're gonna swing for Europe and swing as hard as we can. And it has exploded. Like the last tour we did here, all the festival tours are amazing. The last headliner we did here was crazy. We have a headliner booked in January, February that is, some of the shows are sold out in the first week. So it's really just, I think fans say oh, this band is invested in us, let's invest in them. And it's a cool mutual agreement, I guess, yeah. I'll work with Knocked Loose any day, anytime. Brian is one of the coolest people I've ever had the pleasure of working with and touring with and hanging out with. Isaac, all the guys in the band are awesome. I think, yeah, I don't know exactly the conversations in the studio between them, the band, on why they wanted to do a second one, but I think it was that we recognized that there was this really cool moment to do something that you don't see very often, when the person featuring on the original song then has the other, that crossover is such a cool, for me to feature on their song, but it's a continuing. I don't see that really ever. I know it's been done, but it's just such a cool, whoa, this is awesome. And I think that's such one of the small pieces that make Knocked Loose what they are. They're just invested in doing really cool things that are artistic and creative and looking for things that are outside of what is normal, and that's who they are. And it's very easy to understand why they're successful. So I'm super excited that we got to do it and love that they had the idea. And yeah, we'll see. I look forward to being able to perform that with them. This is a funny question because I feel like I have a third version of this question where I think I thought a song was going to be bigger and then ended up flopping. So that's interesting. I'll add that to your questions. For the song that I felt like I knew was going to do well, I probably would have to say Another Life, just because at that point of the career, I knew what the fans ultimately loved the most about Motionless. Like, there's lots of different things that we do, but the thing the fans cling to the most is the most like raw, sincere, emotional stuff. I think with Eternally Yours being a song and that being like a deep fan favorite, Voices being a song all on the previous record to Disguise, it just was so telling that is like, that's Motionless, that's the heart and the core of the band. So I think when we finished Another Life, I was like, I think this one will be a song that fans really love, and turned it out, that's our first platinum song, and it's got a mind of its own, so it's really cool. Song I thought, what was the other thing was song I thought would do well that didn't? Was that no, that was the additional question I was adding. What was the other part of your question? I'm trying to think of like what some of the, I'll say, just to make the question more, or the answer more interesting, I'll say a song on our album Reincarnate called Dark Passenger. I personally, to me, there's not many moments of our career where I look back and I'm like, God damn it, like why did there's just decisions I made in that song that I really wish I didn't, that make it hard for me to hear. And I think when the album came out, I was like, I feel like people are going to end up hearing that and it's just not going to be cool. But I think it has its own following of fans that enjoy it. So that's cool with me and it makes me like it a lot more. I'm excited to play it at our Halloween show coming up when we play the album. So that's cool. And then bonus answer to your question, song I thought would do well that didn't was when we were discussing what song we wanted to do for a single off of Disguise. I remember Ricky and I were on the phone, and we knew that Another Life was the big song on the album, but we didn't want to put that out first because we wanted to get some steam for the album first before we put out what we felt like was the best song. So we were like, what's a song that we feel like fans will appreciate, but could also do well as a single? And we thought this song called Legacy might have done well. And I don't think that song has done shit. And that's fine, I understand why. It's not my favorite, but I think we thought that like it had the darkness, the big epic kind of larger than life feel to it, that it builds and builds and builds and gets more emotional and more like aggressive as the song goes. And I don't know, I thought with the whole landscape of the song, fans would enjoy it, but I don't think they did, and I don't blame you, and hey, we moved on. It's really tough for me to answer what I would do if I wasn't playing music, because it's just been my entire life since high school. There are other things in life that I enjoy and like, but I just don't think any of those would be something I would gravitate towards as like a profession or a career or anything. So I really don't know. At this point in my life, it's like it would just be so wild to have to restart on something. And I know the band's not going to last forever, so unless we keep it going as long as we can and with quality music instead of just dragging it out till it's the deadest of horses. I don't know. I don't have an answer to it. I try not to think about it, honestly, because it's just sad to think that at some point, it might not be a thing. And what I'll do then, I don't know, but I know that I'm trying my best to keep us going as long as we can, and as long as the fans are there, then we don't have to worry about it. Most bizarre, I feel like most of my tour experiences have not been on stage. They've been like while we're traveling, like different times that we've almost died on the road or stuff like that. That's the stuff that I remember as in terms of like bizarre or dangerous and oh my God, I can't believe we're alive right now. Yeah, we've seen a lot. We've seen a dead body on the side of the road that from a car accident. We've seen some shit. That was pretty scary to like be driving in our van and there was a fresh car accident like just happened and there it is. So pretty grim and scary, but remember that's burned into my brain. And sorry to take the interview in a dramatic turn to the wrong side of this road, but that's something that comes to mind. On stage, I don't know. I can't think of anything that comes to mind right now, but I know, like every other question like this, as soon as the camera turns off, I'll be like, I remember. I don't know. I don't have an answer, I'm sorry.